Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Championship Leadership Podcast. And today I'm excited for our very special guest. She is a former TV reporter and anchor. She currently owns and operates a PR firm called Media Maven. She also has a podcast that she hosts, Become a Media Maven. And you can find out all about her company and what she's up to and how she could help you at MediaMavenandmore.com. Follow her at Christina all day on Instagram and Twitter. And also make sure you check out, she has a 3-day video series on how to get exposure inside of the media for free at pitchpublicityprofit.com, which I just threw a lot at you, but we're going to tag those and link them up inside of the show notes to make sure that you can find our guest today, Christina Nicholson from South Florida. Thank you for joining us, Christina. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you're a busy mom and a busy businesswoman. You have your own company and you got 3 children, a 4-month-old at home. And I know the difficulties of 3 myself and remembering back to those days and trying to fit some things in, have calls and all that. So I do really appreciate you being here and taking the time to do that. First question I have for you that I'd like to kick off the conversation with is the name of the podcast is Championship Leadership. So what comes to mind for you, or what does championship leadership mean to you when you hear that?
I think of people, well, 2 different things. Championship, honestly, like the first thing that comes to mind is the song Champion by Carrie Underwood and Ludacris.
Okay.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Do you know that song?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It's an amazing song with like amazing lyrics that I feel like it could be your theme song for the podcast.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
You'd have to pay them a lot of money for it, but it would be a great song. So that's what I think about. I love that song. I love the lyrics. And then when I think about leadership, like somebody who actually cares about the people around them. Like when it's the same thing, like when people talk about success, they think it's all about money and how much money you're making. And I think that's not what success is, because you can have a lot of money and be miserable. And that doesn't sound very successful to me.
Yeah,
so I think when it comes to leadership, it's not necessarily how much money you have or how successful you are or what it looks like, success looks like to other people. But it really is if you're helping people around you while you're leading. So I think of like the boss that I want to be to my team and past bosses, like, don't just tell me what to do to help your bottom line, like work with me, show me, make me better. And that's what I think about when I think of leadership.
Yeah, I love that. And, I don't think it's any coincidence. Did a little homework and listened to you on a few other podcasts. And so maybe you can tell us your story of how you got to where you are today out on your own with your own company, Media Maven. But I do remember you talking a bit about like where you were at and having a family and it not being conducive and success to you isn't just money or being successful at a career. It sounds to me like it's also extremely important to be able to be there, a lifestyle, be there for your kids, and also be able to go out and do your own thing. So yeah, maybe you could just tell the listeners a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and the path that got you where you are today.
Yeah, it's definitely lifestyle. It's not money, it's lifestyle for sure. Now, with that said, you do need some extra money to live a certain lifestyle. Right? Like money touches everything. Like everybody says, oh, I just want to, stay home and do this. Okay, well, your home costs money. So you do have to make money. Like I operate an LLC. It's not a 501c3, people. Like I am not a charity. I have a business because I need money to live the lifestyle that I want to live. So for me, I have a PR agency now. I help small business owners become their own publicists if an agency isn't right for them. But the funny thing is I don't have a background in PR. My background is in TV. I was a reporter and anchor for 10 years. And in that position, I was on the receiving end of what publicists and PR agencies were pitching to people like me in the news industry. And a lot of these people had no clue what it was like in a newsroom. Like they would pitch the most outrageous stuff that we would never cover. It was overly promotional. It wasn't newsworthy. The timing wasn't right. They were even spelling like the city that I lived in incorrectly. They were getting my name wrong. Like it was a hot mess. And at this point, I had a couple of kids, and the news industry may have the worst schedule ever. when it comes to full-time jobs. Like it's 24/7. I would have to wake up at 2 a.m. to anchor the morning news. You're working on Christmas Day. You're standing in hurricanes for 12 hours straight.
Oh man.
Like the schedule sucks. So after having a couple of kids, I took a pay cut to work at a PR agency, and I worked at that PR agency for 6 months. I told my boss he was a sociopath, and I found myself out of a job.
Oh, geez.
So that's the long story short. So, so after that, I said, oh, I'm just going to be a professional freelancer. So then I just started taking on work from other PR agencies. They would outsource stuff to me. The clients had no clue. And I did that for a few years, slowly bringing on some clients myself. And then I was working like for maybe a year and a half to 2 years. I was working like 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week. I was so stressed. I was so like consumed with like running a business and not having any business knowledge that I brought somebody on to help me. I'm like, look, I want to pay you this money to take this work off my plate because I need like some sanity back in my life. And that was how I slowly built an agency. So fast forward a few years, and I have an agency with an amazing team of 6 people now. We all work remotely. They're all independent contractors because, again, like I'm not in this to look cool with a fancy building and employees. Like I want a flexible lifestyle. I want to be able to work from home. I want my team to be able to work from home. Like if you need to take off time in the middle of the day because you have a sick child, or maybe you want to go see a movie, whatever, as long as you're getting your work done and the clients are happy and goals are being met, I don't care where you work, what you're wearing, when you do it, whatever. So that's how I've built my business. And so far, so good.
I love it. That's great. And thank you for sharing that. PR, like you said, you got so many pitches as a news anchor, a TV reporter that would come through. And I just feel like it's kind of, I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Seems like PR might be something that would be good for me, but it's not something that I'll be honest, I really think about very much. And when I've had conversations around it, it's kind of like, I'd probably be the same. I would probably be one of those people sending in the request, just like having no clue what I'm doing and doing it totally wrong, having it getting sent right to the junk folder and just having no clue. So it's interesting. Maybe you could talk a little bit. I think we have a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs inside of the show as well that are looking to be leaders in their industry. And what is the importance that PR can play in helping them to do that?
Well, you have to look at the different forms of media, like how people find out about you. One way is by you promoting yourself on your website, on your social media, on your podcast. The other way is through paid advertising. Maybe it's Facebook ads or Instagram ads or whatever you're paying for to get in front of people. But with both of those ways, that's you telling other people you're great, or that's you paying to get in front of other people. There's no credibility with that. There's no wow factor with that. Yes, you should be doing that, but you don't really get like that kind of third party endorsement as you do when you earn media. So when I am on TV or in a newspaper or on somebody else's podcast, that is that person, that media outlet telling everybody else that I'm great. It's like a referral from a friend. You're more likely to trust it. So you just have this extra credibility boost, this extra authority boost, and you are viewed a little differently. You're automatically known, liked, and trusted if that outlet is known, liked, and trusted. I've done a lot of podcast interviews. I've done Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn a couple of times. And after I was on his podcast, literally within a week, somebody called me. They signed my agency. I mean, I profited thousands of dollars within a week of being on his podcast because that person knows, likes, and trusts Pat. And if Pat had me on, that means they're going to automatically know, like, and trust me. And it just makes the sales process so much easier. And that's just one example of using a podcast. There's tons of other examples using traditional media. And with traditional media, everybody thinks, like, oh, it's 2020. That doesn't matter anymore. People aren't watching TV or this and that. But let me tell you, the perception of where you are as a business owner is so much higher in traditional media. Like if I recently helped Amy Porterfield get on CNN talking about online courses. She's on CNN. That sets her apart from everybody else in the online business that does online coursework because she's on CNN. So the perception is just so much different. And you want to work with somebody that has that kind of media exposure because that makes them look very relevant in their industry and just above the rest of the competition.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, when you bring that up, because I've seen certain individuals on CNN or some of these news stations or shows, and the thought always comes, they're like, man, I wonder what that connection is or how that happens. Because you're right, it does. There's like, well, they're here, they're seen as an expert, and there is a lot of credibility that comes from that, and it might not always be warranted, right? Necessarily, but I would like to think that,
no, that's totally true. Like there's people who they're really good at promoting themselves in the media, and for that reason everybody just like, you just automatically think they're good at what they do because they wouldn't be there if they weren't, right? So it really is a perception thing, and then it's what you do with it. Like a big mistake people make is they get this media exposure or they're on this podcast and then they just assume, oh, everybody saw it, everybody heard it, I don't need to do anything now. And that cannot be further from the truth. The way you turn publicity into profit is by taking that and sharing it and tagging the podcast host, tagging the TV show, tagging the journalist, so they know that you're sharing it. Because people are going to work with you because they see that you're sharing all of these places that you've been. They're very rarely going to call you after they see you somewhere and then turn into a client. Yes, it happens. It does happen, but maybe 2 out of 10 times it happens like that. 8 out of 10 times, it's going to be because you're reminding them, look, I'm in the media. Look, I'm here. Look, I'm there. And you're always going to be top of mind that when they need you, they know exactly where to go.
Yeah. Thank you. That's, it makes great sense. And I think it could be natural just to think, well, hey, I was on the show, like, let's sit by the phone and wait for it to ring and the clients to start rolling in. Right. A good friend told me a long time ago, probably 5 years ago, he's like, the last thing you want to happen is you want to get your big 15 minutes of fame on Oprah and don't have anything to give them. Right.
Right. And people do that. Like they'll be on Oprah for 15 minutes and they'll think, oh, I made it. Yeah, you made it for a week. But then after that, 4 more people have been on Oprah since then and nobody's talking about you anymore. Like it's your responsibility to keep that conversation going. And if people find you today, they don't know you were on Oprah last year. So you got to remind them. And it is the biggest mistake people make. My clients make this mistake over and over again. Like, I can only email you so many times and tell you so many times, please share this on your Twitter. Please retweet this. Please tag this person. And they don't do it. And then they say, oh, well, we didn't get any customers out of this. Well, you didn't tell anybody about it. You need to like build your brand. Like everybody thinks this is something where, you get on TV and you're a big star. And people think this because maybe that's the way it used to work years and years ago. And you have all these, I'm using air quotes for listeners, all these so-called online experts, and they put that in their copy because it sounds sexy and that's what everybody wants, but that's not realistic. Like this is long-term brand building. Like how many times do you have to see something or hear something to like pull the trigger on it? It takes a while. So like you need to be building your brand slowly over time. And I just think today, people would rather believe like the crazy BS marketing copy that we see in our Facebook feed, or they're just so impatient. They want to hurry up and build their business to make a cool Instagram post when they're not thinking about building their brand long-term. And that's what they need to be thinking about.
Yeah, it's so true. And, I mean, to the point also of like, you never really get to turn that off. And you constantly, it's hard for some people to push themselves too, like, maybe from a mindset standpoint of, the thought that, I don't want to look like I'm cocky. I don't want to look like I'm just telling everybody how great I am. But there is a big piece of that, to stay relevant and to stay front of mind, you got to continue to remind people, like you said. So
you do. And then I always tell people, like, what am I going to find if I Google you? Like, is it all just your content? It's all just you putting stuff out there, which is great. I should see that too. But I should also see other people talking about you. Like, you were quoted in Inc. magazine. You were on this podcast. So I always tell people, and I do this with clients, like after we've been working together for about 3 months, I'll Google them and I'll look at the first 3 pages and I'm like, oh, we got you there. We got you there. We got you there. Like, that is how you build a brand. So, I mean, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not ready for this, or can I just tell you, that's like the biggest BS excuse people say is they're not ready for exposure. Like, how are people going to do business with you if they don't know about you? Like, if you are ready for a new customer or client, you're probably ready for people to know about you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you definitely need to be putting yourself out there 100%. It's not you bragging or tooting your own horn. It's you like sharing the value that you have, whatever problem you solve for people, like, you have to talk about it or nobody is going to find you.
Yeah. I love it. What, where are you headed? Right. I like championship leaders have great vision for where they're going and courage to make decisions to execute on that. And so it's one thing, yes, to create the lifestyle that you want and you come into PR, but I would think that you probably wouldn't still be doing PR if it wasn't something that you really that really meant something to you, that you weren't really passionate about, right? And helping others to learn how to do this, to yes, give you the lifestyle that you want, but also to help others, right? To impact others. So what's the vision for you with Media Maven and where you want to go in the future?
It's crazy because like my goals have changed so much in the last few years. And I feel like, like you have your goals and then you hit it and you're like, oh, well, what now? And then you create new goals as things in your life change. Like, hello, surprise baby number 3. Didn't know that was happening. So like your goals change. And honestly, I don't, and I feel like I may be the only person who says this. I feel like I don't do what I do because I'm passionate about it. I'm honestly not passionate about PR. I hate the term PR. I hate the term public relations. But I do it because I'm good at it. And it's literally all I know. Like, I've worked in news from the very beginning of my career. I am still on TV. I still write articles for online outlets. I have my own podcast. Like, I am still very much in the media industry. It is what I know. And that's why I do it. My team, they're all former media people. So they know what's going on. They know what it's like on the other side. Are they passionate about it? I don't know. Honestly, when I interview people, I don't really care if they're passionate about it. Like, are you good at it? Because I feel like if you're going to hire somebody for something, are you going to hire them because of their passion? Or are you going to hire them because they're good at it? Like, if I had to have brain surgery, I am not going to care if somebody's passionate about brain surgery. You better be good at it. Like, I want the best. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of like my outlook on like the passion part of it. And so many people say, you got to be passionate. Obviously, you shouldn't hate what you do. You shouldn't be miserable. I'm not saying that, but I just think you got to be good at it. And I think that trumps passion because that's what people are going to pay for. But when we look at like goals, and I think all entrepreneurs, maybe they have this problem that I do. Like, okay, I got this goal. I set it. I met it. Now let's like look at this new thing and try to do this new thing. I mean, I don't have shiny object syndrome, but once I get to a point where the goal is complete, or I have a great director of operations with Media Maven, like I could go on vacation for a month and it would still be like smooth sailing. It frees up my time to explore other things. And I like to experiment and I like to see, oh, let me try this. Let me see how this goes. Always trying new things. So the goals, I don't want to say they're all over the place right now, but I am looking at a few different things. I'm looking at a software for people who want to do more podcast guesting. It's something that it's going to be geared more towards public relations agencies. But we'll also work for small business owners. And then, I'm still doing different things with my blog and my podcast and being a TV host. So lots of different things in the future, but definitely like on the trajectory moving upward. You mentioned like decision making and executing. a very quick decision maker. And I feel like as an entrepreneur, you have to be like, you can't sit there and think, well, what if this and what if this? And let's make a pros and a cons list, because you just have to do it. And then you learn if it works, great. If it didn't work, you learned what didn't work. And then you can make the next decision so it works a little bit better next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And well, thank you for that real response. I love it. And I'm not like, I use passion. I hardly ever use that word. Like, I'm not a big guy on follow your passion or your purpose, but
I don't even know what that means. I'm not a deep, like when people say like, what's your purpose in life? I'm like, I don't know. That's too deep for me. I don't know what that means.
Ain't got time for that. But yeah, I had a guest yesterday, and we were talking a little bit what you're talking about the journey, and you accomplish some goals, and a lot of times it can kind of feel empty, or you're like, oh, this wasn't really exactly what I thought it was going to be, or all right, what's next? And he just said, when you finish, or when you get to the end, or you cross the finish line, like, keep going, right? And I think that's basically what you were saying. Like, you're on to the next. You got to continue to move, because I do believe if you think you're just going to rest on your laurels, or just kind of stay where you're at, you really just kind of start to go backwards in life. So we always need something to continue to keep us moving forward.
And you have to enjoy the journey. That's something that I've like learned recently, not super recently, but like I used to get stressed because I wasn't hitting a goal, but you hit your goal, and then what? Mm-hmm. Like, then you just set a new goal. So you might as well enjoy the process and enjoy the journey. And if you're not, then why are you doing that anyway? Like, when I was working like crazy and I was so stressed out, I was like, why don't I just get a freaking job to work like crazy and be stressed out? Like, I'm my own boss for a reason, so I can do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it. So I should enjoy the process. Yeah. So that's something that, like, whenever I get stressed at work, or I'm not having fun with it, like, if you can't, I mean, at that point, you got to either stop doing it, or you got to pay somebody else to do it on your team, right? Yeah, because you have to enjoy the process. That's where you are most of the time, all day, every day.
Yeah. And it's so good to hear that you position yourself that you can, because there are a lot of people out there that they just end up despising their businesses because they're so tied to it, and they're not willing to invest in others to help them take some of that stress off their plate. So yeah, it's great to hear that you've been able to do that. What is like, if we could think back in time to a critical moment in your life, kind of that fork in the road moment. Obviously you made the decision you did that has you where you are today, but what's a critical moment for you where, had you made a different decision, you could very well be in a different place in life?
Oh my gosh.
I think a lot of the listeners, they're in that place right now. So yeah, powerful.
Well, there was that time I told my last boss he was a sociopath. That was
you really told him that?
Yeah, legit. That's why I didn't have a job. I really think he was. He was like a pathological liar, sociopath, like one of those crazy bosses. Yeah. And then I gave my 2 weeks notice, and then a week into that, he like stopped my email. So I don't know if that means I'd quit or I was fired. Whatever. Either way, I was out of the job. Yeah. And so I honestly think, besides that little part, I think investing in my very first business coach really did turn things around for a couple of reasons. One, I was one of those people who, I didn't know at the time, but now looking back, I had a negative money mindset, because I was like, $15,000 a year, I can't afford that. I can't afford a business coach. But then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yes, I can. I can put this on my credit card, and I can make monthly payments, just like we all do when we buy a house, when we buy a car, when we go to college, everything, right? So I did a lot of research. I've had 3 business coaches thus far. All have been amazing, because I want to know everything about the business coach. I want to know all about their successful clients, and I want to know about their retention rate. Because if those 3 things don't line up, I'm not going to hire you, especially in this world where everybody online is a freaking expert and a business coach, right? Yep. So I think I got over 2 things. I got over my money mindset problems. Like, yeah, you can't afford it. Like, because it's not something that you have to have all this money in the bank to hire a business coach. You need to invest to know what the heck's going on. I spent 2 years wasting time on trial and error and reading things online and soaking up all this free content, thinking it applied to me. Well, everybody's different. Every business is different. Our goals are different. Our industries are different. So having somebody to talk to, like, I became so much more successful, so much faster because I had that one-on-one help, and that helped me get rid of my negative money mindset. So I don't know if that's like pulling off the Band-Aid, but I saw value in my first business coach, and it taught me a lot as far as money mindset goes, and investing in somebody who has been there, done that successfully. Like, it's a shortcut to success.
Yeah. That's the reason you hire a coach, right? And so how soon did you do that?
That was probably 2 years into my business, and
Okay.
I've been in business 5 years.
Yeah.
So I can honestly say, like, the last 3 have been so much less stressful than the first 2. Because the first 2, you're working 24/7. You're working hard, but you're not working smart.
Right.
And then after you have a mentor who has been there, done that successfully, then you start working smart, and you start making more money while working less hours. And that's like, right, what everybody wants is to make more money by working less.
By working
so you
less,
have to pay somebody to teach you how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I remember the same time that I hired my first coach, and it was a lot of the same thoughts and feelings and emotions and scarcity around it and the money that it was going to cost. And yet, you look back after, I'm so thankful I did. My life has significantly changed because of it. And now actually, now that's what I do full time. So, it's clearly changed my life. And
I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's great. It's great for the listeners to hear, because if you've never done it before,
it's scary.
It's scary. It is.
Yeah. Cause you don't know. But then you got to look at all these people who spend tens of thousands of dollars on college, and they pay off loans until they retire, literally until they retire. Yeah. And there is no guarantee about anything, but they do it without any questions asked.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're willing to do that, but you're not going to hire this person who has had success, who is telling you that he or she can teach you how to do what that person did, then like, you're an idiot. It's crazy.
Who's actually where you want to be, right? Because
exactly.
Hopefully you're hiring the coach that is living the life that you want, right?
Exactly. So. And now looking back, I'm trying to think like, okay, what did I actually learn in college? And did those people teaching me like ever actually even do it?
I know. Yeah, me too. Same.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Especially when you put it in that perspective. I hadn't really necessarily thought about it that way, but that's a great perspective. It makes total sense. Mm-hmm. So, I want to respect your time. We're coming up on our 30 minutes here together, and it's been great. What is one or two things that you could leave the listeners with that, if they implement today, would help them move forward today inside of their life, inside of their business?
I would say 1, don't be afraid to promote yourself. Like, honestly, I get referrals from people that like 10 years ago, we reported for competing stations, and just because they follow me on social media, they know what I'm doing and they'll send me business. Mm-hmm. So like, don't think that you need to go to a networking event to get a client. You just need to be sharing what you're doing and sharing your value with people, and people will start talking about you. Yeah. So that's my one piece of advice. Like, don't be the best kept secret. It doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. If nobody knows it, nobody's going to pay you for it.
Yeah.
So like, open your big mouth.
That's powerful.
Clearly I have one. And tell people what you do and how you can help them. Yeah. And just be patient, people. Like, there's a reason why in PR, our contracts are at least 6 months, because things take time. I mean, think about like things like SEO. Like, you don't write a blog post and get on page 1 the next day. It doesn't work like that. Like, people, be patient. Like, this stuff takes time, little by little, every day. Yeah. I just started reading Atomic Habits, and it's about like just a 1% change for the better every day. After a year, you're like 30-some% better than you were a year ago. Yeah. So like, people, just tell people how amazing you are and do it every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And I want my PR agency or agent to have a big mouth, right? Like, I want them to they better.
And don't make them mad because they have a big mouth.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it goes both ways, right? Yeah, be careful what you do or what you say. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you'd like to let the listeners know about as we close out here today?
No, they should check out
Yeah.
pitchpublicityprofit.com. I know you already mentioned that, Nate,
Yeah.
but this will give you like an exact step-by-step guide on how to get in the media and how to turn it into profit. And on day one, I am sharing word for word the exact pitch that one of my mentoring clients sent to a TV station in San Diego. She sent it on a Monday. She was live on TV Wednesday morning, 5 minutes, talking about her expertise. Literally that week, she was making brand deals and getting paid to post things on her blog.
That's awesome.
Like, things can happen that fast. So I'm sharing the exact pitch that got her on that TV station. You can see how she aced the publicity, what you need to do so they actually like invite you back, and then what to do to turn that publicity into profit. So that again is at pitchpublicityprofit.com.
I'm definitely going to check it out myself. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Nate.
I appreciate you being here, and I know your baby cooperated, it sounds like, so thank you so much.
He's not cooperating. He's just in the other room.
He is not happy, but that's all right. Yeah. Well, you have a great day. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate.